The Axeman's Jazz, New Orleans, 1918 to 1919. The humidity hung thick in the air that May evening in 1918, typical for New Orleans, but somehow more oppressive than usual. Catherine Maggio wiped sweat from her brow as she closed up the grocery store she ran with her husband Joseph. The couple's apartment above the shop offered little relief from the heat, but at least they could rest after a long day of work. Hours later, in the dead of night, the soft scraping of a chisel against wood went unheard by sleeping neighbors. The intruder worked methodically, removing a lower panel from the back door, a signature move that would soon become terrifyingly familiar to the city's residents. The killer stepped inside, finding the grocer's chisel on a workbench and carrying it upstairs. The next morning, the headlines screamed across the city. Grocery store owner and wife attacked in their beds, Joseph Maggio dead. Catherine had survived the initial attack, but succumbed to her injuries shortly after being found. The killer had struck with surgical precision, using their own tools against them. A cruel intimacy that would become another calling card. As spring turned to summer, more attacks followed. The pattern was unmistakable. Italian grocers, removed door panels, victims' own tools used as weapons. But it was the letter received by the New Orleans Times-Picayune in March 1919 that elevated the killings from mere horror to dark legend. They have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. The letter went on to make an unusual promise. Any home where jazz music played on the night of March 19th would be spared. That night, the sounds of jazz poured from every window in New Orleans. Dance halls were packed, and even those who normally condemned the devil's music found themselves tapping their feet to stuttering pianolas. The killer kept his word. No one died that night. But the city's relief was short-lived. The attacks continued sporadically through 1919, each one following the same pattern. The removed door panel, the borrowed weapon, the brutal efficiency. Some victims survived to tell fragmented tales of a tall man, dark clothes, a hat pulled low, but no one could provide a clear description. As summer waned into fall, the attacks suddenly stopped. No more letters arrived at newspapers. No more door panels were removed in the night. The Axemen simply vanished, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a mystery that would spawn countless theories. Some said he was a demon, taking the killer's own words at face value. Others pointed to the targeting of Italian grocers and whispered about mafia connections. Still others noted the technical precision of the door panel removal and suggested he might have been a carpenter or woodworker. The truth remained elusive. In the decades that followed, the Axeman became part of New Orleans folklore, a boogeyman story told in whispered voices. But for those who lived through his reign of terror, the memory of that stifling spring and summer of 1918 to 1919 never faded, when jazz music offered protection against a killer who moved like a ghost through the city's humid nights. The case remains unsolved to this day, though some researchers have proposed various theories about the killer's identity. The most compelling suspect was Joseph Mumfre, who was shot dead in Los Angeles in 1921 by the widow of Mike Pepitone, the Axeman's last known victim. However, like much of the Axeman story, this theory remains tantalizing but unproven. In the end, perhaps it's fitting that the Axeman's true identity remains hidden in shadow. In a city known for its ghost stories and voodoo legends, he stands as a very real monster whose actions birthed an enduring American mystery, one that continues to fascinate and frighten more than a century later.